Well, I think we're live. So I guess what we'll say is welcome to the Go Big Redcast, our fan forum edition or Fan-Tastic Forum edition. And tonight we're going to be doing a little bit something different. Right now I have my special guest host, Abby something. Abby something, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
That's yeah.
You got it.
And we are going to be asking questions to fans. I see we already have somebody watching. So what I'm going to do is in the comments section here, I am going to paste a link and you can join us on StreamYard. That's right. All you got to do is click the link. Now, here's the thing. I just want to make sure that everybody here knows this. No nudity, no swearing. Yeah. If you get out of hand, we will boot you. I'm actually afraid that she's going to boot me tonight. So that could be.
I would never do that, Rob.
You would never boot me. That's what you say. But let's see if that actually is true. And I think we're going to have a little bit of fun with this. And we will see some people hopefully coming in here and requesting to come on. And I suppose I could just tweet out the link here real quick while we do this and wait around. But before we actually get started on this, I am going to go through a few things. I almost said use this clink. And this is really off the cuff. So we are doing this. I have been kind of planning on it, but I've never done this before. We would love for you to join us. I don't know. Did it actually show up on there? Because it's looking kind of weird on my screen over here as far as like comments and banners and all this other stuff. And I don't know. What do you see over there, Abby? Can you see anything on there or did it look like it shrunk on you?
No, I see the link.
Okay, well that's good. I guess we'll just go from there. Oh, there you go. The Go Big Redcast. I'll bet you anything. It's showing up there, streamlink.com or streamyard.com. Okay, but before we get started, I am going to go through a few things to keep us for housekeeping here real quick. Remember that you can go with your subscription to hailvarsity.com/subscribe to subscribe to Hail Varsity and receive $10 off your initial subscription, yearly subscription to Hail Varsity. You could pick up one of the magazines. You'll get it in the mail. You'll get a newsletter sent out to you, and you'll have access to all of the content on their website. Also, Alumni Hall. I am proud to say that we have extended our agreement with Alumni Hall, and they are our official licensed sponsor of all Husker gear. You can check them out at 2 different Lincoln locations. They just had a new one open up recently. So go ahead to Alumni Hall /Nebraska-Cornhuskers to pick up all of your Husker gear, and you can pick up one of those cool Hawaiian shirts like what I have. Also, Smack and Smooch. If you're looking for your own personal branded items for your business or your, I don't know, what is it that people use these days, like their Pinterest or one of those sites where, you're selling like your, these things. I don't know. What are these called, Abby? What I don't know. What are, and they put these on. I got it says Smack and Smooch on here. It says Go Big Redcast. And then I can drink there. Yeah. What are these called? I forget. I don't know. I can't think of anything, but look, you can drink out of it. Perfect for cooling. A cup. Yeah, there you go. And I think it holds coffee pretty well. But you can contact Shane and Laura over at Smack and Smooch, and they can, you can follow them on Facebook or Twitter, send them a direct message. And, so far we haven't had anybody join us yet, so I'm just kind of babbling on. Also, FSC Edge, if you're looking for a job and you want to work at a great company that offers no customer contact, you can pretty much dress like you want any day. I would say dress like a slob, but I haven't put on pants in like 6 months. So, I mean, it's a great advantage of working from home. You can go to www.jobs@fsc.com and you can work for them in their new building with over $2 million in improvements. And they are one of the only patent companies around the world that does what they do and has the software that they do. And they work with companies in the United States and Europe. And sounds like a pretty good time. I guess if I was looking for a job, especially if it worked remote. Hey, is that our first guest?
Is it?
Oh
It
no,
was
that
my
was your
cat.
cat.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
that
was
was
my
your
cat. It
cat.
almost fell off the table.
Yeah, so we do have let's see here. I think we actually got a couple of recruits. I think Honky updated this to Ashley Williams Jr., edge rusher, 6'6", 220 pounds out of Zachary, Louisiana. And then who? Omarion Miller, too, for the 2023 class, right? We got him, wide receiver, 6'2", 198 pounds from Vivian, Louisiana. Louisiana, obviously a pretty hot spot for recruiting right now. And why is that, Abby? It seems like we're getting a lot of...
I have no idea. It's not like we have a coach with a couple coaches with roots from down there.
Oh, yeah. Man, if Honky was here, he'd just be going off about how cool it was that they were standing in a room after winning a national championship with LSU, talking about whether or not they could just do that at Nebraska. I think
it turns out they can, kind of.
Kind of. Well, you know what? Hey, again, we are becoming the off-season champions once again. Absolutely. And then Whipple went on and talked today about the importance of winning game one this year. I think that obviously winning every game this year is important to me, because otherwise
We talked about
all that Twitter for nothing.
I know.
Right? I know.
Yeah, he made a good point though. It's hard to win the conference if you can't win your first conference game.
Yeah, and I would say fortunately, it is against Northwestern. Of course, you know the history, but it makes me so nervous because we said the same thing about Illinois last year, and we all know how that went. And so it's just kind of killing me a little bit. I also just found out that we have an event for work on August 27th, and it's from 10 to 1 on August 27th.
Sounds awful.
I know. I might have to quit my job.
You say it sounds like you need a new job.
Yeah, because that's the Northwestern game kicks off at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So.
I found out, I've talked about this a little bit on Twitter, is that I have 2 fall weddings this year.
So you basically...
Thankfully, I only have 1 fall wedding now. Turns out my brother is getting married the Tuesday before the Northwestern game.
Oh,
so we're gonna miss. So I'm not gonna miss that game. But
so anyway. Wait, he is getting married in the fall. But okay, so he's doing it before the football season, though.
So theoretically, they should never have an anniversary on a football game.
Well, that's good too. And you know what? Quite frankly, as being in my second marriage, I can tell you that I never want to spend an anniversary celebrating it with anybody else in my family, not even my kids. So you're lucky there too, because if he ever wants to spend his anniversary with you, that's either really bad or he's single. So.
No, well, this is his second wedding as well. Sorry to blow up Joe's spot. But his first wedding was also in the fall, and it was on a Friday. And so like the next day we had a football watch party, and he was part of it. So like, yeah, so he's making really poor choices with the time of year that he gets married, but this one's good. This one will, I think for sure, never cross over.
You know what would have been even better for him is that if he got married on Tuesday and then took off for Ireland.
We joked about that
for a honeymoon, right?
It's probably cheaper to fly to. Well, I don't know if it's cheaper to fly to Ireland out of Vegas. Oh yeah, we're going to Vegas for it, or not, as opposed to out of Omaha, but.
Well, I've got the best wedding hack in the world, because like you get to a certain age where it's like you have everything you need. You don't need to do a registry. Registries are so like keeping up with the Joneses, right? You already have most of the stuff you need. And quite frankly, when other people buy you stuff for your house, you don't even end up using it. Like I still have like weird mixers and blenders and like knives that are just so crappy that I would never use them. So we did what was called a honeymoon fund, where we basically just had people donate towards our honeymoon. And we ended up taking like a 2.5 week trip to Europe ourselves, because we were just like, we had everything we needed. We already owned our house together, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Again, hey, if you want to join us here on the Redcast and you're just sitting there watching, I know we have 4 people watching right now, and I've thrown it out in the comments. I'll throw it in there again. Feel free to join us. Come on in. Click the link. Come on. Say hello. We'd love to ask you a few questions about your Husker fandom. See what's going on. Is it showing up? I mean, why don't you tell me a little bit? I know that we've talked to you about this before, but you grew up in Nebraska, right?
I grew up in Omaha.
You
Yep.
did. Where'd you go to high school?
Omaha North.
Omaha North.
Kevin. His name is Kevin Williams Jr. Just that was really cool to see him come back. And I don't know, I'm just gonna like shout him out now. I was I think 1 year ahead of Niles Paul, might have been 2. I can't quite remember. So I don't know, time and whatever. So I got to see him and Phil Bates play, which I don't know. A lot of people you might not remember Phil Bates, but I think his dad played for Nebraska, and then he ended up going to Iowa State for a while. But I got to see them play together in high school, and it was amazing. So then when he went to Nebraska, that was like, at that time we still weren't pulling a lot of Omaha kids, so it was still in that point where we weren't getting a lot of the Metro kids. So it was like super exciting because I was like, oh, I know that guy. And then when he got drafted again, it was just like, I know somebody like I actually knew somebody playing in the NFL, and I think I told everybody for like years after that. And I was just like, oh, remember Niles Paul? I know him. It was like so dorky, but I was like, the most exciting thing to come out of my high school was Niles Paul. So, yeah. So
that's okay because the guys on the Redcast make fun of me. They call me a name dropper all the time because
I do too.
Everyone knows because I had a cousin who played in the NFL and literally won Super Bowls. And then on that same team was one of my college classmates, Larry Allen. So it was like, and I won't say that Larry and I were like best buds or anything, but like I have run into him on a rare occasion now that I go back to California, but I've run into him before out in like Sonoma County, and he's just like, hey Rob, how you doing? And it's like, hey Larry, big Larry, like, and it's just funny to me because it's like I was the same way. I was so excited, and I won't say that I was a Cowboys fan. I was a fan of them, but I rooted for the Cowboys because they were on the team. And I am, as everyone knows who my NFL team is, but I won't say the name tonight because somebody will win a bet, I'm sure.
So. I'm sure they have one. Yeah, when we so it was, I think, the summer before it was after he got drafted, the summer before he actually went and started with the Washington football team, whoever they are now. We were out. I was out with some friends at a bar in Omaha, and there were a bunch of Nebraska guys there who had just graduated, and I don't remember how we like met him or something. Like he was at the bar, we were at the bar, and one of the people I was with was talking to him, and he turns to me and he's like, Abby, right? And I was just like, yeah, how do you know who I am? Like, I was a big nerd. We did not cross paths. We were not, we didn't, like, I didn't run track. I didn't do any of that stuff. How do you know who I am? He's like, yeah. You were valedictorian. You were at my high school. And I was like, holy shit.
Wait a second. Wait, back up.
Yeah.
Back up. Well, you were valedictorian of your high school?
That's not the exciting. That's not the point of the story.
I think that's like, really cool.
Yeah, but it was more, to me, it was more like, oh, you're like, and I got a little like fangirly, which I didn't think I would. Like I didn't when he walked in and we kind of saw him. It wasn't that, but it was like as soon as he started talking to me, it was just like, oh my gosh, like a really cool kid in high school knows who I am. And it was
I saw you get that way around Honky, so that's
it's true.
Honky, yeah. When I get that way. I get fangirly around Honky all the time.
Who doesn't get that way around Honky?
I know. Well, he's just so likable and lovable. He's like a giant teddy bear. So honestly, Redcasters, I don't know what to do here. We got 5 of you watching right now, and nobody has it says GBR from Iowa, Lincoln Southeast grad, 1972, been going to Nebraska game. You know what? Click on the link above.
Come join us.
Like, I can't see for some reason my screen's being weird. So I may actually leave you here for a second, but I'm gonna jump out and jump back in because my screen's being a trip and I can't figure out why it is doing what it's doing. But on the comment section, so let's see, what does it say? There we go. Oh, it's Rick. Hello, Rick. How are you? There are some links in the comment section here on YouTube, and if you can't see it, feel free to comment and let us know that you can't see it. But we would love for you to just click on the link and tell us all about yourself in that. And of course, you'll have to have a camera or something like that to do it. But that's the whole purpose of the show. I'm just trying to, say what's up to everybody. And Scott. Yeah. Jump on with us, Scott. We're using StreamYard because of you, Scott. So feel free to click on the link above and come in. And if it's not working, say something so we can figure out how to make it work for everybody. Because I also tweeted it out. So if you want to come in and join the show with us on there live, then we'd be happy to see you. So feel free to click on there. So you're a valedictorian?
Yeah,
I always call myself a nerd, but I'm just a geek. You're like an actual nerd and stuff too. Like,
yeah.
Next thing you know, you're gonna tell me you have your PhD and you're actually Dr. Abby.
Well, I am, Rob. That was nice. You already knew that.
I did already know that. I'm just,
stupid.
Well, it's fun to learn something new about somebody, and especially when it's something like that, because I will say that you're very humble in that, because that'd be easy to throw in a lot of people's faces, like right away, like when they say things, and especially being who you are on Twitter with your presence, and I'm like, dudes would never say that to you, to your face. I just don't know any guys that would say that half that stuff to women, like in real life.
It's not just women though. Like they wouldn't say that to anybody. I don't know. Did you see? I'm sure you did. The guy who like tried to pop off at Brandon Riley the other day. He like so Brandon posted something from, I think, the from a golf tournament that they won, and he posted that, and somebody replied, and they were just like, "Oh, it's glad to see you're better at golf than you were playing football." And I was like, "Bro, this dude went pro. Like, what do you mean? Like, you would never say that in real life. Why? You're so brave. You're so brave behind your keyboard." But
yeah, I mean, it's like, it's funny because a lot of these people don't realize how big these individuals are. So, I mean, even that, I live right down the street. It's been said a million times, from Northern Colorado. My son went to the football camp there. We do all kinds of events through my work with the athletic department and everything. And even Ed McCaffrey, the coach there, he's still like 6'3" or something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, he's an old man now, and he's a big dude. Yeah. And like those players, when you look at them, like they are literal specimens of human beings. There's like, they're like 5% body fat, and people want to talk trash to them. I'm like,
giant human beings. Yeah,
they are.
When we went to the Northwestern game, we kind of stopped we had a room at the Cornhusker, so we stopped to like drop our stuff off, and we got there as players were coming out, and so we just like walked by a lot of players, which feels very name dropping, but it wasn't. It was just like, oh, look at all these young. Oh, I know who these people are. And I don't remember who, I'll have to ask, but one of the players walked by, and I literally like at the elevator, and I just looked at him and I was like, your thigh is bigger than my head.
Yeah.
You just like forget how massive these people are, these young men are. And yeah, it's not like they lose them. It's not like they stop playing and suddenly become tiny. Like they generally retain some of their mass, and it's just like,
well, and there's high school kids. Like there's a couple. There's like
Evan Johnson doesn't look like a high school student.
Kevin. No. And there's like high school kids that go to my gym that play football. And there was some kid the other day. He was probably 6'4", and he's leg pressing 8 plates on each side of the machine. And the only reason he wasn't doing 9, because I was joking with him, and I was like, "Oh, you can't put 9 on there," and he said, "Well, because it won't fit." But I mean, he was like 8 plates on either side. It was the literal max on there. And then I'm laying there today, and I've got my plates on there, and I'm going like, I don't even know how I could add another plate to either side of this. And I mean, these kids are just, they're, even the high school kids, some of them are just like athletic specimens. And then you've got like dudes on Twitter, and I've met some of you guys from Twitter. All right. I've met some of you. None of you are taking a college football player. You wouldn't even be able to take the punter. Okay. Like, let's just be honest there. I've met a lot of you. So, I'm still waiting for our first guest to jump on. And again, if you want to be on the Redcast, what's that?
Scott said he'd be on in a minute.
Oh, there's Scott.
There he is.
Oh, well, welcome. Hey, Scott, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Rob?
I am doing well. You guys have been trying to get me on your podcast forever, and it always happens to be like in the middle of the afternoon on a Sunday, and like, which is like when I'm usually having dinner with my family, because I have a trivia night to run later on that evening, and it's like one way or the other. I talked to your dad, Ken, and this is Scott from the Generation Red podcast. Can I say that? Generation Red podcast. There we go.
Yes.
And Yeah, they're a good listen. If you're not listening, throw them a follow, and you guys should check them out. I believe you can download their podcast from just about any podcast platform that's out there. Is that right? Like,
Yep. We're on we're on everything. All the things my dad found them and put us on it. So we
right.
are all over the place. But yeah, no, I think Abby and who's the other one in the Pop and Kernels podcast?
Meg.
Oh, Meg.
Meg.
I was gonna say Meg or Kai would be one of those two. Yeah,
I believe so. I believe we've got y'all scheduled to be a guest on our podcast.
Nice.
I think it's like August. It's like August 7th or August 14th. I don't remember which one it is, but
I think so.
Okay.
We look forward to it.
Excited for it.
Nice.
Yeah, we're excited to get to know you guys and interview you guys and figure out what your whole schema behind starting a podcast was, and obviously I'm not gonna expose all the questions we've got, but we're looking forward to it.
So the reason for this tonight is I just wanted like the average everyday fans, and what do I know? We only get the other podcast people on here, but it's to ask questions. So here you go. You're gonna be our first victim here. Okay. So first question is, why are you a Husker fan?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, give all credit goes to my dad. Pretty much from the time that I was, consciously aware of the world, I was exposed to Husker fandom, and first memory, like core memories that I have of being a Husker fan was in Ndamukong Suh. We won the recruiting battle for Ndamukong Suh. The whole Bill Callahan being hired and my dad being all pissed off about it because he was just like, NFL coach is just going to mess everything up, and his prediction was correct. And then we went over to my grandparents' house every single weekend because they had cable, and so we just watched all the games that we possibly could. My grandpa would get pay-per-view games, so we pretty much watched every game possible. And I was a pretty ADHD child, so I didn't pay much attention in the early 2000s, mostly because it was just pain. And I mean, even before the Callahan era, I just remember my dad getting all riled up all the dang time. And so I just was like, I'm going to avoid this. And then just something sparked, and I just really started to pay attention and really started to learn the fundamental structure of football and whose jobs were what and why they did what they did. And it just took off, and I just never looked back.
Well, I think everyone knows my opinion on Bill Callahan because he went from one of my favorite teams to another one of my favorite teams, and he lost the Super Bowl with my team, and he also lost an O lineman somewhere in Mexico on the Super Bowl. So
I did not hear that story
about Barrett. You never? Oh man, anyway. I mean, mental illness is a serious thing. Don't get me wrong, but Barrett Robbins was an offensive line. He was the center for the Raiders, starting center that year, and he went off his meds and ended up somewhere in Mexico on like a drinking binge somewhere in Mexico the night before the Super Bowl, and ended up not playing. And they had to change their whole game plan and playing against Gruden in the Super Bowl, and they ended up getting blown out. And the worst part about it was I was on a plane to Memphis during the Super Bowl, and I was excited because I would be back in time for the second half. And I got off the plane, and I never watched a minute of that Super Bowl game until like it was replayed maybe like 6 months later on ESPN or something.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because I heard they announced the score over the intercom on the plane, like, oh, the halftime score of the Super Bowl is this. So and they announced it, and I was like, I'm not watching that. So I went and checked into my hotel room, and I went to the bar that didn't have a TV, and I drank at the bar by myself. All right, question number 2 for you. Sorry, that was our general overall reaction to Bill Callahan, which I think is every Husker fan's. What's your favorite Husker fan memory? And I'm guessing it's not Bill Callahan getting hired.
Is that a question for me?
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so my favorite memory as a Husker fan. Oh shoot. I would have to go. Well, there's. Okay, so I have to pick two because both of them have a significant purpose as to why they're my favorite memory, and both of them have a different context to them. My favorite experience as a Husker fan was going to the 2014 Miami game with my dad. I was fresh out of boot camp, still had my high and tight haircut and everything. And it was just an insane atmosphere. It was one of the first true, like, good football games that I had been to, because the only other football game I had been to for a Husker game was I think it was 2013, and it was UCLA when we got beat by them at home. And so that was like a true tried and true good experience. And but then one of my favorite memories was my last memory I had with my grandpa, who passed away in 2008. It would have been against Colorado, and the Alex Henry 57-yard field goal, and watching my grandpa, who was like, I mean, he was only a few months away from dying, or maybe it was 2008. I think that was 2008.
Can we kick him off for making us cry on our own podcast?
Oh, sorry.
No. You're fine. Keep going, man. I'm just like, God.
Yeah, it was. He was dying, and he hadn't, like, he needed help getting up. He needed help sitting down. He needed help doing all sorts of stuff, and like he attempted to get out of his chair and like go, ah! and then when Sue did his thing, it was quite a surreal experience. And it was the last memory I had with my grandpa, because he passed away on December 23rd that same year. So that is still ingrained in my memory of that game that day at my grandparents' house. And so those are my two favorite.
That's a great memory.
Great, though. It's so good that you have like a good kind of last memory with him in that regard. Like, I don't want to like actually you're like 1+ your story, but similarly, like we went the year my grandpa died, I think it was either the next day or whatever it was our bowl game against Georgia that we won. And very similarly, it was just like, oh, thank God. Like, I don't think our family could have taken much more pain. So similarly, it's just like, great. I also wrapped that up in one of my last memories with my grandpa, even though like physically he wasn't there. I like, whatever. I like to think that he was with us with that game. And so I get how like special it is to have a big win as one of your last memories of somebody important. I think that's awesome.
It did mean a lot.
Sheesh.
It was such a great game. It was such a great game and a great memory. And yeah, the timing of it, like, he picked probably a great time to go up to, the up place, and because it's like the next year would have just been
too much.
That would have been too much. Been too much. I cried during that Big 12 championship game. But yeah.
Yeah.
So real quick, Husker fans. Well, we're all Husker fans. Redcast fans, if you guys are watching, don't be afraid to click and join in with us, because even though we're asking Scott these questions, we can still I think we can have up to like 10 people on the screen at once. So if we really wanted to make it a giant cluster F, we totally could. But we'll just keep going through the questions here for Scott. Scott, who is your favorite all-time Husker? I think you've answered this already, but I think I know who it is, but I'm going to go ahead and just let you say it again.
It would obviously be Ndamukong Suh. We've had some really, really good, like I've seen some really, really good players throughout my time, but Ndamukong Suh is just above and beyond, like a step ahead of almost anybody else that would come close to him on that list. It was an absolute privilege to witness what he did for us at Nebraska. And yeah, they're just hands down Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah, he was a beast, man. So there's a rumor that he may be signing with my favorite NFL team here in the next.
Which team is that, Rob?
I'm not going to say because I don't want anyone to win the bet. So I know there's a bet. I know there has to be an ongoing bet out there. But yes, he could be signing with my favorite NFL team here in the near future. And if he does, man, I don't know if I can, So yeah. But yeah, that would be for me. That would be amazing. I'd love to have him as a guest on here. That would be. I mean, I did get Tom Osborne on here. So I'm sorry, Osborne.
I mean, you kind of set the bar real high with that one, I think.
Oh my God. You know what? And what's funny about that too, and I have to give all the credit really for that. Like the guys on the show give me some credit for that. But the guy who made the connection is Chris Gorman over at Herdat. He was just like, hey, is there by any chance you'd want to have this guy on your show? And I was just like, are you kidding me right now? He's like, here, let me connect you with another guy who will set you up talking to coach. And I was just in my head, I'm like, is this real life? And I didn't want to say anything to anyone, but I had to tell Honky about it. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm on a text thread with like former players and coach, and I'm texting with them, and he's texting me. Yeah. And then I've told this story before, but like the night before the interview, I'm sitting at dinner with my family, which is always like, we always sit at the dinner table. Whether it's inside or during the summer, we'll sit outside. We always sit at the dinner table and no phones, no anything. And I just happen to have my phone like sitting upside down on the table, starts to ring. So I look at it and it's him. Oh. And I'm like, and I looked at my wife and I showed her who was calling, and she's like, yeah, you need to take that. And it was just like, hello, Rob. I hope I'm not bothering you. and I said, oh my God, it was just. It's still surreal. It is. It's still surreal. And it's probably that. If anyone said, what's your favorite Husker memory? It's not even a game. It's that right there.
It's not every day you get a call from Dr. Tom. I mean,
no, I spent, and it's funny because the first 20 minutes wasn't even about the podcast. We just sat there and talked. Like, how are things going? How's your wife doing? Like, is everything going okay? Like, I know you said you had to take to the doctor tomorrow. Well, you know what? Let's do the show at this time so you can have time to come home and do what you need to do. And I mean, it was like talking life. I was just like, and then I told him, I was like, I think I joked to them too at one point, and I was like, well, I'm really glad you called tonight, and I want you to know that I will be committing to the team tomorrow. And, like I was like, because and then he started laughing. I'm like, well, because I never got a phone call recruiting me in high school. I grew up in an era where there was like, you didn't have tape. Nobody had tape. You literally had to have a coach show up to your game and watch you play. Like, recruiting regionally was so much easier for the local coaches, right? The coaches in your region at the time, because they were probably the only ones coming to see you, unless there was some like huge, somebody leaked something about this, or you had a scout out there, because this was back in like the late 80s, early 90s. So, I could have played club ball at USC for soccer, but I decided to go to a Division II school instead. So, but yeah, it was weird. Like, there was no tape back then. I mean, a cell phone back then was a box that looked like an Army field phone. It had like a giant antenna coming out of it, and it was like you carried the box around, and you had to plug the phone in, and it plugged in like a regular phone. Yeah, pretty crazy, huh?
Dude, I never knew that you were an ancient, human being.
I'm old enough to be your father. All right, so yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm actually older than I might be older than your dad. I've met Ken, so I met you too, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I think I might be older than your dad. Could be true. I'm not sure. So I am ancient. I am in the ripe age of 48 years old. Yeah.
Holy cow! You don't look anything like it. You got those young. You got those
Isn't
young
it
genes.
past your bedtime, Rob?
It actually is. What's funny
You
is
gotta drink your prune juice, man.
Well, I ate dinner at 4:00, so I'm good.
Okay,
Yes.
so you do have that part down. Dinner at 4.
Yeah, I took my Tums for the calcium, so we're good.
There you go, buddy.
Yeah. You think I'm joking too? I really did. All right, question number 4 for you. How do you think the Huskers will do? Oh, I'm going to say this year, because it's only, how many days away are we now, Abby?
46?
46 or 47?
46, 47?
something like
close.
that. Because I saw the 50-day announcement, and it seems like it was like a few days ago, but I don't know.
We were 49 on Saturday, right? Because that's 7 times 7.
We are 7 Saturdays away. How's that?
Oh, buddy.
46 days. We're 46
Oh,
days.
goodness.
7 Saturdays away. And the first big event that my company decides to put on this year is on August 27th at 10 from 10 to 1. And it's a 10:30 a.m. start here in Colorado. So
that is honestly pretty
Well-
frustrating. Is it at least going to be a good little hoopla? Are you guys going to do some fun something?
Well, it's actually like one of the last open to public practices for the Northern Colorado Bears. And then we do like have all these booths there and vendors and kids come out and see the team and meet all the student athletes from the college up the street.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's funny, but I will say this, and I think that this is going to work in our favor. And I haven't brought this up yet, but last year during the Northwestern game, I went to a 311 concert and we blew them out. So I didn't watch that game. So if I'm not watching the game this year and just listening to it on the radio, it bodes well from a weird psychopathic, strange tinfoil hat wearing perspective. So,
hey man, the science checks out with that one. Yeah, if it works, don't change it.
That's
don't
right.
change it.
So
superstitions are real, Rob. We don't mess with them.
I'm well. Okay, so I'm not allowed to talk baseball. Honky already told me today I'm not allowed to talk baseball. I'm not allowed to talk my favorite NFL team. I'm not allowed to talk football. I'm only allowed to talk Huskers on Husker sports programs. We had a long text conversation about that today of all of 3 texts of me saying, I'm just trying to make things relevant, but I get it. Nobody cares about the Oakland A's. All right. So I know that we have other people watching too. I see we have 6 current watchers right now. So if anyone wants to join us, again, there is a link in the comments section there on YouTube. Feel free to click on the link and jump on the show. I mean, it worked. Obviously, Scott, you're here. Where's your dad? Why isn't he jumping on? Is he just mad at me because he's like, I'm not jumping on Rob's show because he never jumps on ours?
I have no idea. I was finally smart and I did the bell icon from your guys' YouTube account, so it actually tell me when you guys go live, because otherwise it would give me a notification that you're live, and then I'd click on it and it would say streamed 6 hours ago. And I was like, well, that doesn't do me any good. So
you know what, Scott, that's a really great point. If you guys are watching and you aren't subscribed, you just hit the little bell button and you'll get a little alert anytime the Go Big Redcast goes live. Look at me doing your job for you, Rob.
I know. I
mean, so click the bell icon, subscribe to, the Go Big Redcast. My dad clearly is not as big of a fan of you guys as I am, because I clicked the bell icon. I actually have no idea where my dad is or what he's doing. He's somewhere out in the country delivering stuff with his truck.
Because he's a truck driver, right? Like, he's like the heartbeat of this country right now, isn't he? Like, he's out there supplying the chain.
He sort of is, not so much anymore. He did a career shift. It's the same thing. He's still a truck driver, but instead it's with a Ford F-350, and he's towing recreational vehicles and dropping them off to campsites or delivering them from RV sales places.
Well, I've got a 12-foot gate in the back of my yard and plenty of room for one. So if he gets lost in Colorado and just needs to lose one in my backyard, I'd be more than happy to, accommodate the storage of that item. What's that?
I'm sure he would oblige.
Did you just Robert me? Because my mom does that. Yeah, that's always weird.
Robert.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got any questions for us, Scott? I mean, you're a podcaster, so I'm just wishing more people would have come on here. I'm actually a little bit disappointed. We got 9 people watching and only you, and all they have to do is click one of the links in the comments, right? Like, that's all you did.
Super
you click
simple.
The link, and
click
the link
up. You type in your name, whatever you want it to be. You can do like it's a Gerpeldink or something, and click join. It's super simple.
And if you don't want your face to be on here, I mean, the only requirement I have is you have to wear a shirt. I'm not even wearing pants right now. I could stand up and Just
Well,
kidding.
no, but you could not turn your camera on.
Yeah, you could not turn your camera on and just talk to us too.
Yeah,
If
see, look at that. See, I'm
yeah.
gone.
Oh my God, it's already better looking
I'm
too.
super anonymous.
Yeah.
You can't.
I mean,
it looks like GWAD 1980 82
You
says,
would
I don't
not
want to kill
feel
the
the
energy.
come on, GWAD
let's test it.
1982.
Let's
No,
test
How dare you?
yeah, let's test that energy. Come on. And
dare
I'll
you.
tell you what, GWAD, I'll make you a deal. Come on the show and we'll ask you the questions. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to. And if your answers are dumb, we'll just kick you off. How's that?
Super simple.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't
the
mean
gulag
that.
will decide.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even kicked Scott off yet, so
yeah, and I've got a pretty egregious mustache. And
the problem is that I don't want to make Scott upset because I know he'll show up to our tailgate when I'm there for the Georgia Southern game, and yeah.
Oh yeah, well that's a good question.
Hey, that is.
You're local though, aren't you?
Yeah,
Scott. And so you go to quite a few games. Is that the plan this year?
Yeah. The last few years I've gone to at least 3 games.
Oh, it looks like we've got Greg. Is that Greg? Hello,
Yeah.
Greg. How are you today?
There he is.
All right.
Man on the move.
Yeah.
Greg.
Yeah.
Well, hello, Greg. How are you today?
I am exhausted.
You're exhausted. Well, welcome to the Go Big Red. Welcome to the Go Big Redcast. So I don't know how long you've been watching tonight, but we are more than happy to have you on here, and we're just going to go through some questions for you. Are you ready to answer some questions for us?
I suppose.
You suppose. Our first question is, why are you a Husker fan?
Well, I grew up in Lincoln. My dad was a Husker fan. I just kind of took it a step farther than him, and now we're going 15-0 next year, right?
That's right, man. That's the energy I like. See, that's how you stay on the show and don't get kicked off. Right there, answers just like that. All right, question number 2 is, what is your favorite Husker fan memory?
When I was a little kid, I was probably 10. Went on a school field trip to Memorial Stadium. We were playing on the field and everything else, and me and another kid walked back, and we're kind of going by the tunnel, and Mike Stiggy walked by. And he was one of my favorites because I was this tiny little white kid that loved kicking. And there's this giant punter that I looked up to. That's probably my favorite.
That's actually pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, whether you're a kid or an adult, the experience to be on that field is about the same. I wish I had the picture to show you of me just laid out. I think it's on my Twitter account somewhere, but recently when we were out there for the spring game, we got a tour of the whole stadium, and we got let down on there like 2 days before they tore the field up to put on the new turf. And I'm like laying on the end, sprawled out there. But like we were walking in there, and Scott's gonna get a little jealous. We got a tour of the weight room with big, huge picture of Ndamukong Suh like up on the wall there and everything, because it's the Ndamukong Suh weight room essentially. I mean, I think he paid for most of that. And Casey Thompson walked by. Oh, and I started fanboying so hard. And I'm looking, and he was talking with Dirk Chatelain, and I was like, oh God, I would love to just say something right now, but I'm not going to. And I just sat there, and Hunky's like, come on, Rob, it's time to go. Come on, Rob. And I was looking, staring like dreamingly over at Casey Thompson, thinking about, 19 touchdowns against Oklahoma this year. So, sorry, I'm pull myself out of that fog real quick. Abby's just laughing at me. I can
still fanboying out, are you?
I am still fanboying out. Question 3 is, who is your all-time favorite Husker? You just said you're a big fan of punters, so let's hear.
Oddly enough, it's not a punter.
There you go.
Mickey Joseph was my first favorite Husker. He's actually the reason I first ever hated Oklahoma when they hit him out of bounds and broke his leg. My favorite all-time Husker is probably Kenny Walker. That guy was so much fun to watch, and then to find out that he couldn't hear a thing and still could do what he did, that's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's amazing.
Crazy story.
Yeah, some of the best athletes I've seen in my life have had some kind of weird disability or something. I remember watching Jim Abbott pitch right? I don't know if you guys.
Oh,
remember
yeah.
who Jim, yeah. And he only had one hand, and he was a pitcher in the major leagues. He pitched a no hitter, and he used to bat too. There was like the one or two. I think there was like one or two at bats that he actually took in his lifetime too. So, question number
Hold on.
What's that?
I have a story.
Oh, you have a story. Well, then do it.
Kind of.
Story
I think
time.
about that. So one of my favorite football movies is not a good football movie, and not an accurate football movie. The more I watch it, but it's The Replacements.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a kitty.
Yeah, that's my giant boy.
I love it.
You are not an NFL player. Oh wait, no, that's
What are
a
they gonna
different
do?
movie.
Put you in football jail? Anyway, which is something I say to people all the time, and nobody ever gets it because people apparently don't know this little Keanu Reeves gem. Anyway,
So good.
but there is a character in there who's deaf, and I remember the first time that I watched it. I was watching it with my parents, and my parents basically said that they were like, "Oh, Nebraska had a deaf player," and it was like, really? And so that was my introduction to him, and because it was like, well, then I had to Google it right away because that was me. But I was the same way. Like, that's so cool. Like, you would never think that that's possible, but then reading his story and like all of that, it was great. Anyway, that's my only segue to that.
No,
And
it's
if you
fine
haven't
because
seen The
anytime you can do a
Replacements,
Keanu Reeves, Gene Hackman, and John Favreau reference all in one take, that's
but the guy who plays him, and now his name, like his character's name, is escaping me, was in The Office. He was Pam's first fiance. Seriously, name is blanking, but that's who plays that guy.
was that the David Denman guy? Is that who you're talking about?
Is that his name or the character?
No, the name of the guy who was. Is that who that is?
Hold on, I'll tell you
Okay, well,
because I can
that's
pull it up quickly.
that's stimulating Redcast content. I'm just kidding.
Stop it.
So how do you think the Huskers are going to do next year,
Yeah, it was
Greg?
David Denman. So he was.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. What's his name?
Oh, on that show.
On The Office. He was.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, I guess I could look it up on my IMDb app for you while Greg tells us how the Huskers are going to do this year. But you already said 15-0, so you can't take that back.
No, it's 15-0.
Okay. I do like that kind of Kool-Aid talk. I'm not going to lie. I think that it's absolutely necessary in order for it to happen. We need to kind of like, it's like a collective energy that we need to put together to make sure that like we put that out to the players out there. That's why like I mute so many people on Twitter, like constantly mute people. Like I had some guy who's like a Vikings fan tweeting at me last night about how bad the Huskers are. And I'm like, oh, I'm a look forward thinking guy. Like, this is how I look. And they're like, he's like, oh, well, is that why you're talking about all-time records? And I'm like, there's a difference. Like, it wasn't like I was like, oh, our championship seasons. No, I'm looking at the overall success of the Huskers, right? Because that's something that you can build on, right? Like, that's a forward thinking thing, like to build on something that's already great. My cat just showed up too, Abby. So yeah.
Good Lord, cats are everywhere.
Oh my gosh, yes. Creamy, come here. His name. So I got this cat, and my kids named him Creamsicle. But the day that he first showed up on my doorstep was the day that I got the phone call from Dr. Tom. So I wanted to name him Tom, and my kids decided Creamsicle. So we call him Creamsicle Tom is his name. I also call him Creamy T because that's his street name for when he puts out his rap album. So
Dang.
yeah, I realize nobody else thinks that's as funny as I do, but I don't care.
Weirdly enough, I have a dog. His name is Tom, which I named after Tom Osborne. But I actually wanted to name my dog Greg. And yeah.
This is getting weird now.
He's a little Yorkie poo, and I just thought it would be the funniest thing to have like a middle-aged white guy name for a tiny little fluffy dog. And
there you go.
My wife compromised with Tom, but I wanted it to be Greg. So shout out to you, Greg. You were supposed to be my dog's name.
Shout out to the middle-aged white guy, Greg, on here.
Shout out.
People names are the best.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
great.
I agree. It doesn't seem like anybody else wants to come on with us, and I don't know if I should let my feelings be hurt by that or just the fact that, you know what, maybe
I would.
people on a Tuesday night. I know. I believe that it's probably you, Abby. That half these guys are probably like people that insult you on Twitter, and then they don't want to actually show their faces on the Redcast. That's
Or
what
they
it
just want
is.
to be
Well, that's
annoying.
because she hits the back so hard that they're afraid.
Yeah, well, yeah. She works out, so
I feel bad
I wouldn't.
about that sometimes.
I wouldn't mess with her. She doesn't. She hits back, so yeah, you can't mess with that. I like that you like went into the darkest room of the house to answer all your questions. It was like you're being interrogated or something.
Oh, there's there's no lights on in the house right now, and all the curtains are closed in the living room. And I work 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it was like 100 degrees today, so I'm tired. So I'm keeping the lights off.
Yeah. Well, no, that's good. That's good. What do you do for a living, sir? Can I ask that?
I work in a metal fab shop building parts for like semi trailers.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Okay.
So it's not easy work. And then it's 90 degrees in the shop.
Yeah, I never quite got over. I remember like the 2 summers that I did construction, like working in these houses in the middle of the summer when it's like 100 degrees outside, and obviously they're new build homes, and there's no air conditioning or anything going through there, and no windows on the house at all, and it's 100 degrees in a wood house, and the wood's still sort of wet, so it's like there's like this weird humidity and smell of like wood glue going on in there, and I was like, I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life. Like, I think that's when I made that decision, because, I didn't need to be any more stoned than I already was. So. Yeah. Well, now that I'm a year and a half, like completely, well, okay. I don't want to say completely sober, but it is what it is. So.
By the way, Pam's fiance was Roy on The Office.
Oh,
Finally
yeah,
got that
it was
fact
Roy.
check.
I figured it out. I
Roy.
couldn't
Came in.
there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think it doesn't look like we've been on here for an hour, and it doesn't look like anybody is looking to
Justin
join us
asked
again.
a question.
Well, where is Justin? Oh, is this a regularly scheduled thing? No, Justin, this was something that I wanted to kind of test out and see where it would go. And we do have 2 people on here so far, and I may do it again in the future if people want to come on here. I'd be more than happy to have you guys join at any point in time in the future. And I just wanted to give some of our fans a chance to come on and talk a little bit about who they are and what they do and why they're Husker fans and maybe give a few opinions on things, whether it be about our recruits, whether it's about our coaches. Obviously on the Redcast, we like to keep things a little bit positive, but it is what it is. So, for tonight, I think, we've been on here about an hour, and I think it's been fun. I'm not going to lie. I do like knowing that, there are real faces to the little numbers next to you. Guys can't see it, but Abby and I can see it, like to the number of people watching. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. So since there's only 4 of us and there's usually 4 of us on the show, let's do this. Each one of you guys can do a parting shot before we leave. Say something out there to Redcast Nation that you've always wanted to say. And Greg, we'll start with you.
Something I've always wanted to say?
Yeah, and keep it clean. This is a family show.
I don't know. I don't know that I've always wanted it. Well, it would have been nice to always want to say it, but we're going 50-0.
Yeah. There, you're officially on the archives of the Redcast to do
great parting shot.
Yeah. Scott?
Parting shot to everybody. It's just a piece of advice. In case you forget, always remember.
Abby, good luck following that one up.
You had me on that one. So in maybe this is my new thing, by the way, that I'm going to have 2 parting shots. One, I think we were 15 days out from fall camp starting. So we are like 2 weeks away from being like in full on football mode. So do whatever you need to do, get ready for it, be prepared. We're probably going to maybe lose another player to either the portal or something. I don't know, because we're still 2 scholarships over.
Yep.
Which could happen. Just be prepared. Remember, portal giveth, portal taketh. And second, for my dear friend, message board genius, Husker fans, please remember that even though we only won 3 games last year, Scott Frost is allowed to golf on his time off. That's all.
I golf while I'm working, so I don't know.
Well, apparently he does too, according to the message boards.
Well,
Also, don't read message boards; they're garbage.
Don't read. I mean, we all say from being on Twitter and all that fun stuff. Well, you know what? Thank you again, you guys, for coming on. I just wanted to try this out, see how it would go. And you know what? If we get some good feedback from the people that do this is actually just going to be a YouTube exclusive. I'm not going to like turn this to turn it into a podcast or anything like that this week. I just wanted to kind of see how things went and try it out because one of my favorite comic artist does something like this on a weekly basis where they invite you on to talk to them and meet them and ask them questions, and you know they actually care about what we think too. So I just wanted our fans to know the same thing. And with that, it's a go big Redcast.
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red. Iowa's corn sucks.